Wait. We are doing. President Trump did a little question answering this morning, so we're gonna check that out. And then we're gonna go into the Charlie, the Tyler Robinson charges from the Utah Gov, and then we're gonna go into the charges announced against Tyler Robinson.
And he's a good man. Most of you know him. He's very talented. He'll have a big influence on Too Late getting his rates down, I guess. Who knows? You never know with Too Late, but he's done a lousy job. The rate should be much
talking
lower,
about
much
Powell
lower.
from the Federal Reserve.
I've just signed his document and all of the papers, and Steve Myron is now on. Did you go to the independent on the Federal Reserve? It is now underway in Gaza City. Well, we're going to see what happens because I hear Hamas is trying to use the old human shield deal, and if they do that, they're going to be in big trouble. They're going to be in big trouble. They put it out 2 days ago that they're going to use the hostages as human shield. That's something that hasn't done for a long time, you know.
You still believe in the independence on the Federal Reserve?
Let me tell you, if they do that, they're in big trouble.
Sir, on the Federal Reserve, who do you believe the Federal Reserve is an independent body?
There we
What
go.
do you think about the independence?
Oh, it should be, but I think they should listen to smart people like me. I think I have a better instinct than him. If you look, all the economists got it wrong. I got it right along with one other people out of 100. So they should listen to people that are smart. Nothing wrong with that. But they have to make their own choice. But they should listen.
Prime Minister Netanyahu?
No idea.
About the idea of Israel beginning its ground offensive in Gaza City. Do you support that?
Well, I have to see. I mean, I don't know too much about it. I can tell you that if they put the hostages in front of them, Hamas, as protection, as they call them bodyguards, Hamas is going to have hell to pay.
Hamas is gonna have hell to pay.
The peace does not come quickly. We will go after those other targets with
Well, my
precision,
relationship is very good
speed,
with the
and
UK.
skill.
Charles, as you know,
But
who's now
Word
king,
and
is my
precision,
friend.
speed,
And it's the first time
and
this
skill.
has ever happened where somebody was honored twice, so it's a great honor. And this one's at Windsor. They've never used Windsor Castle for this before. They used Buckingham Palace. And I don't want to say
UK
one's
land,
better than the
bro.
other, but they say Windsor Castle is the ultimate, right? So it's going to be nice. But basically, I'm there also on trade. They want to see if they can refine the trade deal a little bit. We
Oh
made
yeah,
a
didn't he
deal,
go to
and
like
it's a
London
great
or some
deal.
shit real quick?
And I'm into helping them. Our country is doing very well. We've never done this well. We're having trillions of dollars coming because of the tariffs. They'd like to see if they could get a little bit better deal, so we'll talk to them. But primarily it's to be with Prince Charles and Camilla. They're friends of mine for a long time, long before he was king. And it's an honor to have him as king. And, you know, I think he represents the country so well. I've watched. He's such an elegant gentleman, and he represents the country so well.
Actor Robert Redford passed away today. Did you hear about
He
that?
did? Wow.
Yeah, I heard it, right. We saw that.
Well, that's a good way to go, I guess. But I'll tell you, Robert Redford was great. He had a series of years that there was nobody better. This just happened, I guess. Huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
He died at home in Utah in his sleep.
Yeah.
And what movie would you say
That's
you liked
a
the
big
best
one.
in?
Well, you have a lot of them. Honestly, I'd say he made 7 or 8 great movies. They were really great. There was a period of time when he was the hottest. I thought he was great.
Your audio, bro.
Are you going to delay the TikTok ban?
Well, we have a deal on TikTok. I've reached a deal with China. I'm going to speak to President Xi on Friday to confirm
we got a
everything
deal.
up. We made a very good trade deal, and I hope good for both countries, but a very different deal than they've made in the past.
What companies are going to
We'll be announcing that. We have a group of very big companies that want to buy it. And, you know, the kids
Oh.
want it so badly. I had parents calling me up.
Interesting. Okay.
They don't want it
well.
for themselves. They want it for their kids. They say, if I don't get it done, they're in big trouble with their kids. And I think it's great. I hate
With
to see
their
value like
kids.
that thrown out the window.
So on auto, thank you. So auto
And,
executive.
you know, you're talking about tens of billions of
Right,
dollars.
but some auto executives are concerned that compromising the 15% for auto tariffs coming in hurts American automakers. What do you say to
Well, I haven't compromised anything. Where did I compromise?
going down to 15% from 25?
Going down to 15%.
From 25.
We charge, well, and where did the 25 come from? It came from there.
Mr. President.
You tell me. Just so you know,
Some auto
they paid
executives-
nothing for years. Now they're paying 15%. And some things can pay more, like chips could pay more. Pharmaceuticals could pay more. You know, there's a bigger margin. With a car, you have to make
Oh, I need to enhance
15%
that.
before you make a
Don't
profit.
know what the fuck
Pretty
they're
tough.
doing.
So, we had a good year. Don't forget, European Union is paying our country because of tariffs $950 billion. Think of that. We're talking about a year. $950 billion. Japan is paying us $650 billion. These are countries that paid us nothing until I came along. And China's paying us a tremendous tariff. You know what the tariff is, right? You know what the tariff they're paying is? What?
Yes, so it's 30% for the fentanyl as well as whatever for the 301.
20% for the fentanyl. But the overall is about 55%. Okay? That's as opposed to nothing. Would you say that's a difference? We have a big decision coming up. If the Supreme Court rules the way, hopefully they will, because, I mean, every legal expert said we win that case, but you still have to watch. And the Supreme Court's been terrific. You know, I think they're very fair. All I want is fairness, and we win. But if we win the Supreme Court case, which is the finalization of tariffs, we will be by far the richest country anywhere in the world, and we'll be able to help our people more, and we'll be able to help other countries when we want to. But I will say, if we win that case, our country, you see what we've taken in just on a temporary basis. We've taken in trillions of dollars, trillions with a T, and we will be by far the richest country in the world. There'll be nothing for us. And you know, one other thing, we'll have tremendous power to negotiate. The use of tariffs, I settled 7 wars. 4 of them was because I was able to use tariffs.
I settled 7
The other day in an interview,
Edward.
some CEOs make hundreds of times more in salary than average workers. He's worried about polarization. Do you share that concern?
Well, I do say there's a big gap. I do say that. Don't forget, I'm a popularist. There's a big gap.
Mr. President, it's been a month since your meeting with Vladimir Putin in Alaska. A month on, do you think that meeting accomplished what you hoped?
Yeah, it accomplished a lot, but it takes 2 to tango also. You know, those are 2 people, Zelensky and Putin, that hate each other. And it looks like I have to sit in the room with them because they can't sit in the room together. There's great hatred there. But no, that meeting accomplished a lot.
Confidence in Kash Patel, and what are you hoping comes from his testimony on the Hill today?
Well, first of all, I think that
Kash
Pam
Patel
Bondi
is-
has done an unbelievable job, and everybody agrees with that. And Kash,
So-
you know, take a look at what he did with respect to this horrible person that he just captured. He did it in 2 days. It took other
I mean,
similar
look,
cases.
I only
4
did that
days, 5
because he
days,
botched some things.
4
Okay.
years, if you look at certain shooters. Now, I have confidence in everybody in the
Goddamn
administration.
Jeep man.
My administration,
Fucking it up, man.
and a lot of people are
Fucking
saying it,
it
not
up.
just me.
You have the
It's
power
so far
and
the
you're
best
fucking it up,
administration
man.
Ever formed.
I don't like
You
it.
look at our financial people. Our country is making a fortune. We have to keep tariffs because our country has become successful because of tariffs. We have the case in the Supreme Court. That's a very vital case for the success of our country. It's very vital to negotiate with other countries. And remember, other countries charge us tariffs. That's a very, very big case. And if we win that case, our country will be by far the richest country anywhere in the world. And then we can help our people. We'll get rid of debt. We'll get rid of everything. We can help our people, and we can even help other countries where they need it.
Mr. President, narcotics in Venezuela. Narcotics in Venezuela.
Narcotics in Venezuela. Federal.
What is his message to him?
Well, I would say this right away. Stop sending Tren de Aragua into the United States. Stop sending drugs into the United States.
Or else.
We knocked off actually 3 boats, not 2, but you saw 2. And the problem is there are very few boats out in the water. There are not a lot of boats out in the water. I can't imagine why. Not even fishing boats. There's nobody. Nobody wants to go take a fish. So it's one of those things. But
I mean, you could have this.
I would say to him very strongly, stop sending people from your prisons into our country. They're sending their prisoners. They've done that already. So the numbers just came out. Another month with 0 people getting into our country. And these are figures, John, with people like you that would like me.
There was another one recently, right?
Nobody has ever done on the border like I've done.
Mr. President, what will you tell President Zelensky if you meet with him in New York?
Well, he's going to have to get going and make a deal. He's going to have to make a deal. Zelensky's going to have to make a deal. And Europe has to stop buying oil from Russia. Okay? You know, they talk.
No more
They have to
taking
stop buying
Russia oil.
from Russia.
Mr. President, there are some.
The wealthiest man who's ever occupied the White House.
I hope so.
How much wealthier are you
Uh,
now?
Well, I don't know. The deals I made, for the most part, other than what my kids are doing, you know, they're running my business. But most of the deals that I've made were made before. And that's what I've done for a life. I built buildings. Like I'm building a building here. You know where I'm building? You know what? You see that area? Yeah. That is going to be the greatest ballroom anywhere in the world.
he's
And
still
for
doing the
150
ballroom
to do it for the country. And I'm paying for it. I'm paying for it. Country's not, and
well,
that's an
yeah.
expensive
Apparently, he's
ballroom.
paying for it, so
I
it's
think
his
it'll cost
money. So it's like,
$250 million,
I guess it's
and,
whatever.
It will be, I think, the finest ballroom.
Oh well,
So
I
for
mean, he's probably not
150
paying
years,
for
John,
all
you
of
know
it.
this? They
Like,
wanted a ballroom.
He's probably
And now they're gonna finally
got
have
a,
it. And it's going to knock your socks off.
some other people helping him pay for it too.
You'd be engaged in so much business activity.
Well, I'm really not. My kids are running the business. I'm here. You know what the activity, where are you from?
I'm from the Australian Broadcasting Corporation.
Oh,
The
Australia.
Australians, you're hurting Australia right. In my opinion, you are hurting Australia very much right now.
Oh
And they want
no,
to get along with
Prison
me. You know,
Island.
your
The
leader
emus,
is coming
man.
over to see
Land
me
of the
very soon.
emus.
I'm going to tell him about you. You set a very bad tone. Go ahead, John. Maybe you can set a nicer tone. Quiet.
What are you hearing about the operation
He's just
in
like,
Gaza,
fuck
the
you.
Israeli
Shut up.
operation?
Well, I'm hearing that they want to go in, and I'm also hearing that Hamas wants to take our 20 hostages plus dead bodies. You know, they have about 32 of them, and they want to put them in the way of any attack. And nobody's happy about that situation. It came out yesterday. I'm sure you saw that. They want to, supposedly they've taken the hostage out of deep caves and tunnels, and they're bringing them, putting them on the front line. Nobody's heard of that one for a few centuries.
You saw that the UN said that Israel is guilty of genocide, that they've committed acts of genocide in Gaza.
They voted on that?
They have a new report out saying multiple acts
We'll
of
have to see.
genocide.
When it comes to a vote, we'll see what happens. That'll come to a vote, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
And what do you
yeah.
think,
Also, right, exactly, right. To say something like genocide, there's no actual like documentation. There's no one vote, right? To act like there's a genocide going on right now is not even the case, because they're both attacking each other. So it's like.
Bondi's saying she's going to go after
Whatever.
hate speech. Is that, I mean, a lot of your allies say hate speech is free speech.
You'll probably go after people like you because you treat me so unfairly. It's hate. You have a lot of hate in your heart. Maybe
Would that
they'll
be
come after
appropriate?
ABC. Well, ABC paid me $16 million recently for a form of hate speech.
Oh,
right?
no.
Your company paid me $16 million for a form of hate speech. So maybe they'll have to go after you. Look, we want everything to be fair. It hasn't been fair. And the radical left has done tremendous damage to the country. But we're fixing it. We have right now the hottest country anywhere in the world. Remember, 1 year ago, our country was dead. And now Washington, D.C. is fixed, and I fixed it. The mayor was fine. The mayor was just fine, okay? The mayor had a sick city for many years. He's been mayor for many years. The one that fixed it was me and my people, and it is so safe. You should take your beautiful wife tonight and have dinner down there. You won't be shot. You won't be accosted. You won't even be looked at incorrectly by anybody. Washington, D.C. is safe. Now we're going to Memphis.
I
where it's
fixed
pretty rough,
Washington,
to
D.C.
put it
I
mildly.
put the
And
National
then we're going to
Guard
have to
in.
go. A friend of mine.
We're
who's a
going to
big
Memphis
railroader,
now.
He stops in all the cities. He knows every city. He said, sir, you have to save Chicago. So I'm going to go to Chicago early against Pritzker. Pritzker's Pritzker is
going
nothing.
to
If
Chicago.
Pritzker was smart, he'd say, please come in. So last week,
Forget
for the last
Fatty.
week and a half,
We don't care about
11
Fatty.
people in
He can
Chicago
just
were killed,
whatever.
murdered, and 38 were shot. And then Pritzker, and by the way, this is going on constantly. If they lose less than 6 or 7 people a week with murder, they're doing a great job in their opinion. Chicago is a death trap, and I'm going to make it just like I did with D.C., just like I'll do with Memphis. Now, remember this. So a man comes into my office, one of the biggest businessmen. I'll tell you, he runs Union Pacific. Is that big? Biggest railroad in the world, I guess.
Oh yeah, that's
And
right.
he
There was
started off as
there
a
was some
railroader.
railroad
He
companies.
was running a railroad, a little caboose. He was in a caboose. Now he runs the whole damn thing. 45 years ago, he started off in a caboose. I don't know what that's all about. And he became the top, so that's a good place to start. But he came in, he knows the country intimately. He's looking to do a merger by another railroad, the one that where it had the little problem in East Palestine. Right. And they want to buy that railroad, as you know. It's pretty public. But I sat with him and I talked. I said, so you know every city? Yes, sir. I go into every city and I have for 45 years. I said, where would
Basically,
you go
right
He
in
said,
some of
St.
these
Louis
countries
is
they
in
have a
big
railroad
trouble.
system
He said,
because it's
but
easier to manage.
Chicago is a great city. You can save Chicago, sir. Don't let Chicago die. This is the guy telling me with great knowledge and so on. He said, don't let Chicago
Also, we
die,
still
sir.
use railroad
It's dying.
systems.
Don't
in
let it die.
certain
I'm going to
states, too.
Chicago next.
The UAE, Mr. President. What do you think they want when you do a deal with
UAE?
Well, I just want something to happen, whether it's federal, state, and most likely it's going to be state. The question is whether or not we overlap with a federal judge. So they're looking at that. But the state is very competent. The governor's doing a very good job. As you know, they have the death penalty. It's a tough death penalty, too, as you know. But they have the death penalty. So as to whether or not we judge, we will be working with them. We may or may not be able to judge.
When it comes to the governor of Utah, what do you make of his overall message of nonviolence?
Well, I agree with it. I agree 100%. But most of the violence is on the left.
He said that social media is a cancer.
What?
Do you
Fucking
agree with that?
called
The
out.
Utah governor said that social media is a cancer. and
Oh,
that people
Trump!
should log off.
Trump should denounce it on both sides. Shut the fuck up.
Some respects it's great, but,
It's
there are
never come from the right
segments,
side
there are deep,
ever.
dark holes that are cancerous.
It's only lefty
Beyond
crazies
cancer,
like
they're death.
BLM and fucking Trantifa and all these fucking stupid ass organizations. Fuck these people.
Well, that
Fucking
was a great
burning
decision.
Minneapolis
It was a
and
rigged
shit
case
down.
to start off.
Fucking causing riots and shit.
It's great.
Throwing cinder blocks at
She
fucking
was a
police and
disaster.
people
She
and
was
shit.
a
Fuck.
disaster with a boyfriend. The boyfriend that she paid $1 million for his expertise.
Hey,
but he
when you
never
start
did it before.
assaulting people,
Now, she
hey,
should be
all bets
prosecuted.
are off.
She was
Right.
What she did to people, forget about me. What Fannie Willis did to innocent people, patriots that love our country, what she did to them by indicting them and destroying them, she should be put in jail. She's a criminal. Fannie Willis is a criminal.
Oh yeah, wasn't Fannie Willis in some shit
more
today?
pressure to EU
That
and
deserved
NATO
bitch.
countries not to purchase Russian oil?
I do, but here's the problem. You know the problem. They're purchasing Russian oil. I don't want them purchasing Russian oil, and they've got to stop immediately. It's not fair to us. They're purchasing Russian oil, and we
Yeah,
have to,
also,
do things.
I'm
Now,
gonna say this again, right? Because this popped up again. Right, them buying Russian oil literally gives them money to keep the war machine going, right? Because a bunch of countries are now doing business with Russia, right? And they need money to keep the war going. So I mean, yeah, that's an issue, is it not? And Ukraine is still having issues with the conflict. So the fact is, you guys are wanting some conflict, yes, in a sense.
the nice part, it doesn't cost us anything anymore. You know that. They are buying everything from us, unlike Biden, who gave away $350 billion. We actually make money, but I don't want to make money. You know what I want? I want that war to stop, because last week 7,018 people got killed.
Can you provide a
Kharkiv was targeted today, just now. You announced 70 patriots in Ukraine 2 months ago.
Where are you from?
Ukraine. Will they come, and do you know when they will come? The patriots.
What?
Oh God, I thought she was gonna bring up the fucking Irina thing.
To Ukraine 2 months ago.
Look, let me just tell you, I love Ukraine. I love the people of Ukraine. That's why I asked. I thought that was a little Ukrainian accent, but the country's in serious trouble. It should have never happened. It's a war that should have never happened. The country's in very serious trouble, but I'm going to get it stopped. I've done seven countries. I've stopped 7 wars in the last 8 months. I thought that would have been the easiest because I know Putin, but it's not. Because there's tremendous hatred between Zelensky and Putin. Tremendous hatred between Zelensky and Putin. But we're going to get it stopped.
How can you go to the Supreme Court to stop Lisa Cook?
Oh, there it goes. He didn't talk right. He didn't talk a lot about the chart. Right. I think he already said enough in the past, couple days leading up. But he did. Right. He did touch on the aggression from the radical left. All right, and then what do we got here? This is Tyler Robinson charges. There was also a hearing too. Maybe I should pull that up to check it out too.
The murder of Charlie Kirk is an American tragedy. Charlie Kirk was murdered while engaging in one of our most sacred and cherished American rights, the bedrock of our democratic republic, the free exchange of ideas in a search for truth, understanding, and a more perfect union. It is also an offense against the state and to the peace and enjoyment of the people of Utah and of all those who visit here. But Charlie Kirk's murder also strikes a more personal and intimate chord. Charlie Kirk was first and foremost a husband and a father to 2 beautiful young children. He was a son, he was a brother, and a friend. Like all murders, the senseless and needless taking of Charlie Kirk's life has shattered the lives of those he loved and those who loved him. To Charlie's wife, Erica, his 2 young children, his parents, his family, and his friends, I express my sincere condolences and offer my heartfelt prayers on your behalf. I also want to express my concern for everyone who was at Charlie's Turning Point USA event at the Utah Valley University.
We'll take a
and
look
all
after
who have been impacted by this tragedy.
I'm gonna speed this up.
As county attorney, I am charged with bringing justice to those who offend
he's the
our
attorney
laws.
for this case.
I am charged with bringing justice for those who are harmed. I am charged with bringing justice for Charlie Kirk. I am committed to these.
So
aims.
he's
I
the
take this
state.
responsibility
He's basically
seriously.
the state prosecutor.
Today, after reviewing the evidence law enforcement has collected thus far, I am filing a criminal information charging Tyler James Robinson, age 22, with the following crimes. Count 1, aggravated murder, a capital offense, for intentionally or knowingly causing the death of Charlie Kirk under circumstances that created a great risk of death to others. Count 2, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, a first-degree felony. The state is further alleging aggravating factors on counts 1 and 2 because the defendant is believed to have targeted Charlie Kirk based on Charlie Kirk's political expression and did so knowing that children were present and would witness the homicide. The state is also charging defendant with count 3, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony for moving and concealing the rifle used in the shooting. Count 4, obstruction of justice, a third-degree a second-degree felony for disposing the clothing he wore during the shooting. Count 5, witness tampering, a third-degree felony for directing his roommate to delete his incriminating texts.
Oh,
Count 6, witness tampering,
that's
a third-degree
why.
felony for directing his roommate to stay silent if police questioned him.
Oh.
And count 7, commission of a violent
So
offense
the roommate
in the
is, in a
presence of
sense, an
child,
accomplice.
a Class A misdemeanor,
well,
for committing homicide, knowing that
I mean,
children
if
were
they're
present and may have
cooperating
seen or
with
heard
the
murder
police a
and
lot,
did so,
I mean, I guess
based on
it's not
Charlie
really
Kirk's political expression.
aiding and abetting,
Also,
right?
following the press conference,
As in a sense,
I am filing a notice of intent to seek the death
the roommate
penalty.
could be aiding and
I
abetting
do not
in
take
a
this
sense,
decision
just because
lightly,
of that happening, right?
and it is a decision I have made independently as county attorney, based solely on the available evidence and circumstances and nature of the crime. Because we are seeking the death penalty, the defendant will continue to be held without bail in the Utah County Jail. Turning to the 10-page information, these are the allegations. On September 10th, 2025, at approximately 12:23 p.m., Charlie Kirk was shot and killed while speaking to a large crowd on the campus of Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. Police found the suspected murder weapon, a bolt-action .30-06 rifle, nearby. Over the next approximately 33 hours, police conducted a manhunt for the shooter until the evening of September 11th, 2025, when Tyler James Robinson surrendered to police at the Washington County Sheriff's Office. DNA consistent with Robinson was found on the rifle's trigger. After shooting Mr. Kirk, Robinson hid the gun, discarded the clothing he wore when he fired the rifle, and told his roommate to delete incriminating text messages and not talk to police. Children were present at the time of the shooting. The shooting. Turning Point USA, a nonprofit organization founded in 2012 by Charlie Kirk, organized a public outdoor event to be held at noon on September 10th, 2025 at UVU. The event was the first in a series of similar events to be held at college campuses nationwide. Mr. Kirk is a well-known conservative activist, famous for these type of events where he discusses various political issues and debates with audience members. His events and comments have garnered a significant number of supporters and drawn the ire of many who disagree with his political views.
Oh yeah,
The event at UVU
you could
was
see
announced
that
far
all
in
over the
advance
fucking
and garnered
internet right now.
significant publicity and interest.
Even in his death,
Consequently,
everyone's
several
trying to
hundred
fucking
people
besmirch his name.
Mr. Kirk was interacting with the crowd before the event officially got underway. Then, at approximately noon, Mr. Kirk
Even some of the
seated himself under a portable
people
canopy
closest
behind
to
a
him
table and
is
microphone.
trying to start some shit too. It was like,
He
what
began
the
speaking
fuck?
to the crowd and fielding questions
Holy
from
shit.
attendees, a format Mr. Kirk
Man,
commonly
people are
used at his
fucking
events.
disgusting, using
Mr. Kirk
their
allowed his
fucking
questioners
fallen
to
friend as a
approach
fucking
microphone positioned
tool.
directly in
Holy
front of
shit.
him. Mr. Kirk's team members were very close to him on his right and left, as well as some
Fucking
behind
disgusting.
his canopy and others at various close locations near him. The large crowd surrounded Mr. Kirk on three sides. Temporary metal fencing separated attendees from Mr. Kirk by only a matter of feet. Directly above and behind Mr. Kirk was the UVU Hall of Flags, an indoor walkway spanning several hundred feet with floor-to-ceiling glass windows which overlooked the plaza where Mr. Kirk was seated. People were in the walkway at the time of the shooting. Approximately 15 minutes into the event, Mr. Kirk was answering a question about mass shootings by transgender individuals when a gunshot rang out. The bullet struck Mr. Kirk in the neck. He slumped to the ground almost immediately. The bullet's trajectory passed closely to several other individuals beside Mr. Kirk, including the questioner who was standing directly in front of Mr.
Yeah,
Kirk.
I think that's why
Children were
people
visible
are.
near
That's
Mr.
why
Kirk's
people immediately
stage
started
when he was
running.
shot.
'Cause
Mr.
they-
Kirk was
they
rushed to
were
a
like,
nearby
what the
hospital where he was declared deceased. The medical
'Cause the
examiner's
bullet whizzed
report is still
past their
pending.
head.
So UVU surveillance. So at the moment of the shot, a UVU police officer was watching the crowd from an elevated vantage point. As soon as he heard the shot, he began to scan the area for threats. Believing the shot came from a rifle because of its sound, he looked for potential sniper positions. He noted a roof area approximately 160 yards away from Mr. Kirk as a potential shooting position and rushed there to look for evidence. The suspected shooting position is adjacent to an open, publicly accessible walkway. To access the suspected location, a person must climb over a railing and then drop to the roof only slightly below. The UV officer climbed over the railing and down onto the roof. He then walked to the suspected shooting position and confirmed a clear shooting corridor between the position and Mr. Kirk's seat. He also noticed markings in the gravel rooftop, consistent with a sniper having lain on the roof, impressions in the gravel potentially left by the elbows, knees, and feet of a person in a prone shooting position. Police reviewed surveillance from the camera covering the roof and discovered that it recorded an individual dressed in dark clothing cross the railing from the public walkway and drop onto the roof at approximately 12:15 p.m. Although the individual moved out of the camera's view for a short time, the camera again captured the individual running across the roof and then low crawling to the area the UBU officer recognized as where the suspected sniper had dropped into a prone shooting position. After a short time, which matches the known time of the shot, the individual arose and ran across the roof to the northeast. This discovery led to an intensive review of UBU surveillance recordings to attempt to track and identify the suspect. Surveillance revealed the following. At approximately 11:51 a.m., the suspect entered campus from the north. He is seen wearing a black shirt with an American flag in the center, a dark baseball cap, and large sunglasses. Throughout the surveillance, the suspect keeps his head down and rarely raises his head enough to get a clear image of his face. As he proceeds across the campus, he is seen walking with an unusual gait. The suspect walks with very little bending in his right leg, consistent with a rifle being hidden in his pants. This unusual gait continues until the suspect is seen crossing the railway off.
So yeah,
the open
basically
walkway
he was
onto the roof,
limping,
where he leaves the camera's view.
going
The camera
towards
later
the
captures
campus
the
because
suspect
he
as
was
runs
carrying
across
a
the
rifle.
roof to the suspected shooting position. Immediately after the shot was fired, a camera captures the suspect running across the roof carrying an item whose shape is consistent with a rifle. The suspect is then seen climbing down from the roof. He appears to drop the item he was carrying as he hits the ground in a controlled fall. He then picks up the item and runs toward the northeast end of campus. Expanded crime scene investigation. Law enforcement officers followed the suspect's escape path to the northeast end of campus, where they believe the suspect left campus and entered a wooded area. In that wooded area, investigators found a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a towel. The rifle contained 1 spent round and 3 unspent rounds. This is consistent with the facts officers observed at the time of and immediately after the shootings. No shell casings were found on the roof, suggesting a bolt-action rather than an auto-loading weapon, and only a single round was fired. Each round in the rifle contained an etched inscription as follows. The fired cartridge was etched, no Tice's bulge, O-W-O.
Oh, he's going to say it too?
The second cartridge that was again not spent, the last 3 were not spent, were not fired. The second, hey fascist, catch, with arrow symbols. The third cartridge, oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow. The fourth cartridge, if you read this, you are gay, LMAO. The rifle.
God damn it, we got another one.
Were sent
Fuck.
for forensic processing. DNA consistent
Fucking
with defendant was found on the trigger, other parts of the rifle, the fired cartridge casing, 2 of the 3 unfired cartridges, and the towel. Law enforcement was unable to immediately locate the shooter, so they published photos of the shooter from the UVU surveillance cameras and asked for the public's help to identify him. Meanwhile, law enforcement continued to try to identify the shooter through other means. The Washington County investigation. On the evening of September 11th, 2025, as law enforcement continued their investigation, Tyler James Robinson went to the Washington County Sheriff's Office with his parents and a family friend to turn himself in. Robinson's mother stated that the following to police. On September 11th, 2025,
Holy
the
shit,
day
this
after
guy
the
reads
shooting,
slow.
Robinson's mother saw
Dude,
the photo
we
of
can
the
put it
shooter
on
in the
like
news
two
and thought
times
the
speed
shooter
and
looked like her
probably
son.
faster.
Robinson's mother called her son and asked him where he was. He said he was at home sick and that he had also been at home sick on September 10th. Robinson's mother expressed concern to her husband that the suspect shooter looked like Robinson. Robinson's father agreed. Robinson's mother explained that over the last year or so, Robinson had become more political and had started to lean more to the left, becoming more pro-gay and trans rights oriented. She stated that Robinson began to date his roommate, a biological male who was transitioning genders. This resulted in several discussions with family members, but especially between Robinson and his father, who have very different political views. In one conversation before the shooting, Robinson mentioned that Charlie Kirk would be holding an event at UVU, which Robinson said was a stupid venue for the event. Robinson accused Kirk of spreading hate. Robinson's father reported that when his wife showed him the surveillance image of the suspected shooter in the news, he agreed that it looked like their son.
He also believed that the rifle that police suspected the shooter used matched a rifle that was given to his son as a gift. As a result, Robinson's father contacted his son and asked him to send a photo of the rifle. Robinson did
Honestly,
not
the
respond.
kid is just projecting.
However, Robinson's
now.
father spoke on the phone with Robinson. Robinson implied that he planned to take his own life. Robinson's parents were able to convince him to meet at their home. As they discussed the situation, Robinson implied that he was the shooter and stated that he couldn't go to jail and just wanted to end it. When asked why he did it, Robinson explained there was too much evil and the guy, referring to Charlie Kirk, spreads too much hate. They talked about Robinson turning himself in and convinced Robinson to speak with a family friend who was a retired deputy sheriff. At Robinson's father's request, the family friend met with Robinson and his parents and convinced Robinson to turn himself in. The family friend spoke to police and reported telling Robinson that it would be best if he brought all evidence with him to the sheriff's office to avoid police having to search his parents' home. The friend also asked Robinson if he had any clothes that were related to what he did. Robinson replied that he had disposed of the clothes in different areas. The roommate. Police interviewed Robinson's roommate, a biological male who was involved in a romantic relationship with Robinson. The roommate told police that the roommate received messages from Robinson about the shooting, and he did provide those messages to police. On September 10th, 2025, the roommate received a text message from Robinson which said, "Drop what you're doing. Look under my keyboard." The roommate looked under the keyboard and found a note that stated, quote, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." Police found a photograph of this note. The following text exchange then took place. After reading the note, the roommate responded, "What? You're joking, right?" Robinson, "I am still okay, my love, but I'm stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I got to grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I am sorry to involve you." Roommate, "You weren't the one who did it, right?" Robinson, I am. I'm sorry." Roommate, "I thought they caught the person." Robinson, "No, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering." Roommate, "Why?" Robinson, "Why did I do it?" Roommate, "Yeah." Robinson, "I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it." Roommate, "How long have you been planning this?" Robinson, "A bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it." Robinson again, "I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. IDEK, if it's had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about Prince. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find Prince. How the F will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Remember how I was engraving bullets? The F in messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notice bulge UWU on Fox News, I might have a stroke all right. I'm going to have to leave it. Weird. That really effing sucks. Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine, IDK.
No.
I think that was a $2K scope. Wink, wink. Robinson again, delete this exchange. Again, Robinson, "My dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle, and it is very unique. He's calling me, RN. Not answering." Robinson, "Since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA." Robinson, "I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbors here is a deputy for the sheriff." Again, "You are all I worry about, love." That came from Robinson.
Oh,
Roommate,
his neighbor is a deputy,
Robinson,
too.
"Don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. If any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent." The search for Robinson's residence. Police executed a search warrant on Robinson's residence. During that search, police discovered a shell casing with etchings like the etchings found on the shells in the rifle near UVU. Police also found several target boards with bullet holes in Robinson's home. Now, as I stated in the beginning, when I read those allegations, these are allegations. And like the evidence set forth in this statement, those allegations, what you've heard from the media, even from state and federal officials, has not been tested in the crucible of a jury trial. I understand the public's desire to know the facts. My own family members have pressed me for information. Why are we reluctant to share the details of the investigation itself and comment on the case? Because I want to ensure a fair and impartial trial. I became a prosecutor because of my love for the ideals of this great country and the principles.
So the reason why he's trying to, he's doing these press conferences is because he's in a sense giving the
right against self-incrimination,
a testimony.
the
of
right
the
to a
charge
speedy public
or
trial, the right to the effective assistance
in
of
a
counsel,
sense,
the right
what's
to
being
confront one's
levied?
accusers, and the right to compel the attendance of witnesses. And perhaps most importantly, under our
There's
Constitution, the
transparency
accused
and
is
whatnot.
presumed innocent until we, the state, prove to an impartial
In the
jury
court.
of defendant's peers his guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. That jury cannot rely on our allegations, on what they hear in the news, or on what they hear from a public official. The jury is the sole trier of fact, and they will ultimately determine those facts based on evidence a trial judge has determined is admissible. Again, as prosecutors, we bear the burden to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. But make no mistake, we welcome this burden. I'd like to now introduce my trial team who will be charged with prosecuting the case. This is a veteran and expert team of some of the state's best trial attorneys.
So
Chet
this
Brunheimer,
is the
who
state's
is,
team
one
of
of my two
prosecutors.
chief deputies, Ryan McBride and David Sturgill on the far right there. And those two were very much involved in preparing search warrants, did a phenomenal job, worked day and night to see that accomplished well after he was, Robinson was taken into custody. Also, Lauren Hunt, she is one of our special victims prosecutors, and Chris Ballard, my second chief deputy, who will be handling motions. I'm going to explain just the procedural steps. We're not a grand jury, we don't have a grand jury system like the federal courts do. It's a preliminary hearing system. So the arrest and filing of the criminal information are merely the first steps in the criminal justice process. Today at 3 p.m., the defendant will appear before a judge in the Utah 4th District Court for his first appearance to be informed of these charges and to ensure that he has an attorney to represent him.
So this is a state
The hearing will
case.
be brief. The judge will conduct that first appearance
No federal
virtually via
case.
WebEx. This is not unusual. In the 4th District, all felony first appearances for defendants who are in custody are held virtually. A link to that hearing is available for media on the Utah State Court's X account at Utah State Courts. Now, following defendant's first appearance, he will be entitled to a preliminary hearing. At that hearing, the state will be required to show probable cause that defendant committed the crimes. The purpose of the preliminary hearing is not to determine guilt, but simply to assure the court that the prosecution has enough evidence to proceed to trial. If a judge finds probable cause and binds the case over for trial, an arraignment hearing will be held. At that hearing, a judge will again inform defendant of the charges against him and require him to enter a plea to each charge. The next step following the arraignment is an opportunity for the parties to file any relevant motions and then ultimately the trial itself. This case has generated a tremendous amount of interest across our nation and even the world. The public's desire for information is understandable, but it bears reiterating that this case will be tried in a court of law consistent with our Constitution, not the court of public opinion. Thus, we will only discuss the case with the press occasionally. It will not be a day-to-day or even week-to-week occurrence. But we will only do so in a manner as not to jeopardize the fair trial process.
There you have it. They have.
Before I conclude, I want to express my
the
appreciation for the tireless work of our local, state, and federal law enforcement officers. They have an extremely difficult, dangerous, and often thankless job. I'm proud to acknowledge the exceptional work they do
is
every
now
day,
in
and
the
particularly
court
their work
system.
on this case.
Or
It was
well,
truly a
we'll see
marvel to witness.
the
Their skilled work and dedication
court
have brought us
hearing
to this point.
pretty soon.
I'm also grateful for the
After
leadership
this.
demonstrated by Bo Mason, the commissioner of the Utah Department of Public Safety, FBI Special Agent in Charge Rob Bowles, Utah County Sheriff Mike Smith, our local police chiefs, and Felice John Vitti, the acting U.S. Attorney for the District of Utah. I'm also grateful for the support of our Governor, Spencer Cox, and our Attorney General, Derek Brown, who is standing behind me today and has offered his support and resources as we proceed to trial. Finally, I want to thank our Utah County Commissioners, Amelia Powers-Gardner, Brandon Gordon, and Skylar Beltran. They too have pledged to assist with the resources needed to successfully prosecute this case. I will now take a few questions.
For questions, ladies and gentlemen, just really fast, if you could identify yourself and what organization.
All right, there you have it. They probably won't be asking a lot of questions, or they won't be saying a lot. But here we go. Here's the Robinson first court hearing appearance.
Good afternoon. My name is Judge Graff. I will be handling the first appearance calendar today. At the conclusion of the hearing, for the first case, the court will take a recess and remind all those who are scheduled for the first appearance calendar to log back in 15 minutes after the court has taken a recess. As a general note, no electronic usage is allowed unless pre-approved. Any disruptions will be removed. To the jail, are we ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Calling case 251-403-576, State of Utah versus Tyler James Robinson. Could you state your name?
Tyler James Robinson.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Robinson. I'm Judge Graff. Mr. Skortis.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. You're probably already aware of my presence or why I'm here, but if not, I am not entering appearance. I'm not counsel on this case. I'm working with the county to get counsel assigned, but we need you to allow for the appointment of counsel.
Thank you, Mr. Scortis. I want to go through the qualifications for indigency, but that is my intent, Mr. Scortis.
Very well.
And I thank you for being here. So, Mr. Robinson, you have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, the court can appoint an attorney to represent you. I have reviewed your declaration of financial status and find that you are indigent. I'm provisionally appointing a Rule A qualified attorney to represent you on your case, Mr. Robinson. Along with their filing of their appearance of counsel, the assigned attorneys must file declarations with the court
he's going
that
to be
outline their
assigned an
qualifications
attorney
under Rule 8,
to represent
under
him
Rule
on a
8C.
case.
I'm sorry, under Rule 8B
So they will
and Rule
be
8C,
getting
where counsel
together
appointed in a case
with
where
the
death
county
may be
to
a sentencing
see someone
option.
to take on the case.
I'm ordering that those declarations be filed prior to the next hearing date, which is set for September 29th at 10 a.m. Mr. Robinson, I also wish to inform you of your rights against self-incrimination. Anything that you say in court today could be used against you.
So
and
yes,
we want to
right
protect
now
your
the judge is
constitutional
going
rights.
to be kind of
Mr. Robinson,
acting
at this
like
time,
the
you will remain in custody
his
without
attorney-ish
bail.
a little bit here.
Mr.
'Cause
Scortis,
he
is
can't
there any
really
other points
right.
that
He doesn't
you
have
wish
an
to address?
attorney
No,
right
thank
now.
you very much, Your Honor.
Turning to the state.
Yes, Your Honor. Chad Grunander for the state. I'm also joined, and they're listed as attendees, Ryan McBride, Lauren Hunt, David Sturgill, and Chris Ballard. We are the trial team on this case. I do have a few points I'd like to bring up with Your Honor. We have filed a pretrial protective order on behalf of Erica Kirk. We would ask the court to review that. It should be in your queue, Your Honor, and sign that.
Thank you. I have reviewed the pretrial protective order and will be issuing this pretrial protective order in favor of Erica Kirk. Is there any other business that we need to address today, counsel?
So
Just for the court's
there's
information, we
there's
did file just recently, within the last few minutes, a notice of intent to seek the death penalty that was filed by Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray. So that should be in the court's file.
We'll wait. Or else I'll wait.
Lastly, I would just indicate to the court and to, at this point, Mr. Robinson, that we are
Protective
prepared
order.
to collect all of the discovery in this matter and get that turned over to the defense as soon as possible. Rules.
You heard him say the protective order for Erica Kirk because she is a victim as well. As now that's so that she doesn't get harassed by reporters and stuff like that.
16 requires us to provide what we have relied on in charging the information.
Or people
and bringing
trying
these
to
charges
ask
within
her
5
about the
days,
case, right?
once it's requested. So that'll be prepared to disseminate to the defense as soon as possible.
Thank you, Mr. Grunander. Mr. Robinson, what I also want to do is you have the right to have the charges read that you stand charged of, and I wish to read those to you at this time. Thank you. Mr. Robinson, for count 1, aggravated murder, a capital felony in violation of Utah Code annotated 76-5-202, in that on September 10th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, intentionally or knowingly caused the death of Charlie Kirk under the following circumstances.
So this is what we just heard in the this is the prosecutor's charges against him.
And the defendant. Notice conviction of this offense may carry the death penalty or pursuant to Utah Code 76-3-207.7, a mandatory
He just acknowledged that death penalty is on the fucking table.
A term of not less than 25 years, and that may be for life. Victim targeting enhancement.
You see him nodding his head and
76-3-203.14 sub 2. Tyler James Robinson intentionally selected Charlie Kirk because of Tyler James Robinson's belief or perception regarding.
So basically, when he gets an attorney later, they will be giving they will be turning over all these documents to the attorney, so the attorney knows will be
shall consider the defendant's selection of the victim as an aggravating factor. Violent offense committed in the presence of a child aggravating factor. The sentencing judge or the Board of Pardons and Parole shall consider as an aggravating factor in their deliberations that the defendant committed a violent criminal offense in the presence of a child. Count 2, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, a first-degree felony in violation of Utah Code annotated 76-11-210 sub 2 and 3C, in that on September 10th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant Tyler James Robinson discharged a firearm in the direction of Charlie Kirk, knowing knowing or having reason to believe that Charlie Kirk may be endangered by the discharge of the firearm, and that the act caused serious bodily injury to Charlie Kirk. Victim targeting enhancement in violation of Utah Code annotated 76-3-203.14 sub 2. Tyler James Robinson intentionally selected Charlie Kirk because Tyler James Robinson's belief or perception regarding Charlie Kirk's political expression. Notice if the trier of fact finds beyond a reasonable doubt that the victim
Now they're only
enhancement
saying
applies,
political
the
expression
sentencing judge or
because
board
of
parties
the
in parole shall
the
consider the defendant's
Discord
selection of the
messages
victim
and
as
text
an aggravating
messages,
factor.
right?
Violent offense committed in the presence
Obviously,
of
it
a
has
child,
to hold up in
aggravating
the
factor.
the
The sentencing judge or the board of parties
court
in
of
parole
law,
shall
but yeah,
consider an
anyways.
aggravating factor in their deliberations.
That should
If the
probably
defendant
move.
committed a violent offense in the presence of a child. Count 3, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony in violation of Utah Code annotated 76-8-306 sub 2, in that on September 10th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant Tyler James Robinson, with intent to hinder, delay, or prevent the investigation, apprehension, prosecution, conviction, or pursuant to any person regarding conduct that constitutes a criminal offense, conceal or remove the firearm used to shoot Charlie Kirk, and the conduct that constitutes an offense would be a capital felony or a first-degree felony. Count 4, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony in violation of Utah Code 76-8-306 sub 2, in that on or about September 11th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, with an intent to hinder, delay, or prevent the investigation, apprehension, prosecution, conviction, or punishment of any person regarding conduct that constitutes a criminal offense, destroyed, concealed, or removed the clothing he wore during the shooting, and the conduct that constitutes an offense would be a capital felony or first-degree felony. Count 5, tampering with a witness, a third-degree felony in violation of Utah Code annotated 76-8-508, in that on or about September 10th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, believed that an official proceeding or investigation was pending or about to be
Basically,
instituted,
tampering with
intended to prevent an
evidence,
official proceeding
tampering
or
with
investigation,
witness,
and attempted to
the
induce or otherwise
boyfriend,
cause his
right?
roommate to withhold testimony,
Or the roommate
information,
boyfriend,
document, or an item to wit,
family,
directing his
could have been
roommate to
family
delete
members too.
incriminating text messages. Count 6, tampering with a
Or
witness,
also
a third-degree
Discord,
felony,
right,
in violation of Utah Code
deleting
annotated
messages, stuff like that.
76-8-508, in that on or about September 11th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, believed that an official proceeding or investigation was pending or about to be instituted, or intended to prevent an official proceeding or investigation, and attempted to induce or otherwise cause his roommate to withhold testimony or information, to wit, directing his roommate to stay silent if the police questioned the roommate. Count 7, a violent offense committed in the presence of a child, a Class A misdemeanor in violation of Utah Code annotated 76-3-203.10 sub 2 and 76-3-203.14 sub 3a little double I, in that on or about September 10th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, committed criminal homicide in the physical presence of a child younger than 14 years of age, with knowledge that a child was present and that may have been seen or heard the commission of the criminal homicide. Victim targeting enhancement in violation of Utah Code annotated 76-3-203.14 sub 2, Tyler James Robinson intentionally selected Charlie Kirk because of Tyler James Robinson's belief or perception regarding Charlie Kirk's political expression. That concludes reading of the information. Mr. Robinson, this case is set for September 29th at 10 a.m. It will be a waiver hearing, and I will be the judge assigned to this case. And Mr. Robinson, I invite you to join us at that time. Is there anything further, counsel?
No, yeah, we'll have counsel appointed by then. Thank you.
Mr. Gurander, anything further?
One item, just for clarification, Your Honor, the hearing on the 29th, is that in person or WebEx?
Thank you. That is a great question. It will be via WebEx.
Okay. Thank you, Judge.
So, and
all right,
there it is, the 29th, the next hearing.
At this time,
and by that
or
time,
is
they
in
should
recess.
have maybe an attorney for him. Right. There you have it. And then let's see what ABC News,
Kirk's accused killer, Tyler
the fake
Robinson,
news media, has
charged
to
with
say about it.
aggravated murder and Utah's district attorney Jeffrey Gray says he will seek the death penalty. We are now learning so many more details from Robinson's mother, his roommate, his text messages, and it's all chilling. Robinson messaging his roommate, with whom he refers to as my love, telling him he used his grandfather's rifle to carry out that shooting that killed Charlie Kirk. Robinson's mother, telling police that her son had recently become more pro-gay and trans rights oriented. When asked why he did it, Robinson allegedly said that there is too much evil and referenced Kirk, saying he spreads too much hate. Let's get straight to our whole team
Holy
of
shit,
experts now.
really?
Pierre
Oh,
Thomas,
man.
our chief justice
I
correspondent.
guess I'm
Let's start
spreading
with you.
hate too, because I basically
I am
said
just astounded at how many
say the
details
same
that we received this early on this investigation.
There's
from
only
the
two
district attorney.
genders.
So much to talk about, Pierre.
Biology
So many
is
details
biology,
that we
man.
learned from the
Their
mother, from the
chromosomes
father, what
don't
they told police, to
change.
these text messages is just riveting, and it's sad.
Hey, once you're a female,
fact,
you're
that's what I
always a
just said,
female.
a few
Once you're a
moments ago,
male, you're
Kira, that
always a male.
This press
Your
conference was
chromosomes
riveting
don't
in its
change.
sadness. From the way they described the way that Mr. Kirk died, how dangerous it was for the crowd, the fact that the bullet that killed Mr. Kirk whizzed by the head of the person who was asking him the question, how it was close to others, that there were children in the crowd. Then we learned new details about the DNA evidence that they believe ties into the scene, that there's DNA evidence from Tyler Robinson, according to authorities, on children in the crowd.
Hold on. Let me grab this real quick. Oh. Boom.
Then we learned new details about the DNA evidence that they believe ties into the scene, that there's DNA evidence from Tyler Robinson, according to authorities, on the trigger of the murder weapon that was recovered near the scene, that there's DNA evidence on the cartridges, but also this riveting, sad ordeal of the mother and father seeing the released image of their son and not shrinking away from it, saying, that looks like him. And the mother calls the son, and he says, no, I was out sick both today and yesterday. And then she doesn't leave it there. She turns to her husband and said, that looks like our son. The father agrees. He ends up, confronting his son, which all ends up in a family friend who is associated with the U.S. Marshals getting involved, and then him being turned in. And then, as you said, the messages to the roommate, which many will believe is really critical to establishing that he did it, according to authorities, laying out the sequence of events that had happened, and also they are far along the line, as far as we can tell, in terms of motive. They believe that this is somehow tied to his belief that Charlie Kirk was sowing hate.
Pierre, thank you. Let's bring in our Matt Gutman now, who was there in the room when the charges were being read. And Matt, you just heard what Pierre had to say. I was listening to you earlier on the network, just detailing the back and forth of these messages with Tyler Robinson and his roommate, and then hearing more from Robinson's mother and father, and even learning about this rifle and what the parents had said about this had been a gift. And then in the text messages, Tyler Robinson talking about it was his grandfather's rifle, and then going into details about what he did to these details he was relaying to his partner about the weapon and why he did what he did, and his how he planned this all out. I mean, it's just, there was so much we didn't know that we now know, and it's just heartbreaking, Matt.
It is. It's heartbreaking on so many levels, Kira. Obviously, Charlie Kirk was murdered brutally in front of a crowd of thousands of people who watched him being shot through the neck and then essentially bleed out in front of him. And I think one of the things that the attorney here made a very fine point about is that a lot of these charges, 7 charges, were aggravated because children were present. Children witnessed this. Children were put in harm's way. And that was something that obviously is aggravating here, and that's one of the reasons that the suspect, in addition to the alleged murder being political in nature, is facing the death penalty. They're going for the death penalty. And on the other hand, there is this duality of a portrait of a very human person, a very human experience from this entire family. As you mentioned it, the mother who essentially discovered that it was her son who had done this, the kid who had got a 34 out of 36 on the ACTs, who had a 4.0, who got a full ride to college.
Hey, we saw that guy that was
the
cheering like a fucking asshole.
She saw those pictures and said, identified him essentially.
Remember?
And then those text messages, and I don't think I've ever experienced a press conference in which we've read text messages that are so fulsome, so robust, so apparently, allegedly self-incriminating, and yet on the other hand, so touching, right? With the suspect reaching out to his roommate, who is allegedly his boyfriend, who we understand, identified as male at birth, now identifies as female, and the terminology he used. He was trying to protect him. He kept calling him my love. My reason for doing this is to protect you. But also asking him to delete the messages and not speak to law enforcement. So there's this heartbreaking duality that we're seeing very tragically playing out here. And again, one of the things that also struck me was the degree to which that this group here, the prosecutor's office in Utah County, is trying to play this by the book. The degree to which the Department of Public Safety in Utah has been keeping the information close to invest, trying to play it by the book, as opposed to the FBI and FBI Director Kash Patel, who has been way out in front of these law enforcement organizations and revealing
Yeah,
pretty
Kash
significant
Patel
amount of
and
evidence that
Bondi
we
have
heard
been
about
saying
today.
some
The
dumb
note, the
fucking
self-incriminating text
shit, to
messages,
be
the
honest.
DNA on the firearm. These are all things that the attorney told me he would have hoped to have been able to have more of a tight lid on, but didn't have the option. His important goal is to make sure that this process goes smoothly and that the suspect here gets a fair trial and is presumed innocent until the jury proves otherwise, if they intend to do that. Kira.
And Matt, it sounds like as well, according to the parents and what they told authorities, that Tyler Robinson had even said he planned on taking his own life after this happened, and the parents convinced him to come home.
Yeah, it seems like he, again, from the text messages, we have no independent confirmation of this, but it seems that he appeared to be suicidal after he realized that he was checkmated, that there was no escape for him, that his mother wanted him to turn himself in, as did his father. That was his lot. And what was also interesting about the initial text messages with that boyfriend/roommate was that he thought he could escape. He thought that nobody would be able to figure out who did this, that he could have perpetrated
Well, I mean, he was
the perfect
flapping
crime.
his lips.
And then you see
Dude,
this
all
sort
these
of
people
unfold in real
flap
time.
their
They realizes
lips.
he couldn't get back to his weapon, and that the incriminating information was on the weapon, and that law enforcement was right around it. And then it devolves into this increasing depression, and eventually into his family saying that he apparently tried, or had hoped, or expressed the desire to take his own life. Obviously, they dissuaded him. Kira.
Matt Gutman, appreciate your reporting so much. Let's take it to Eric Faddis now, former
And they
felony
wanted that
prosecutor.
clout, and
Eric,
they got
Tyler
it.
Robinson
Now they're
facing the
getting,
death
now they're
penalty.
getting the
What comes
fucking
next?
death penalty, possibly.
Yeah, so the ground on which he's facing the death penalty is this aggravated murder charge, where the prosecution's alleging that he created a grave risk of harm to other people. And so, the bullet could have hit somebody else. This could have caused a stampede. I think that ground is pretty solid. From there, at a jury trial phase, the jury will have to determine whether the aggravating factors outweigh the mitigating factors. So the prosecution says this political violence piece, that's aggravating. The fact that it happened in front of other children, that's aggravating. Defense is going to argue that, hey, this guy likely had no significant criminal history. He was a younger person. And so ultimately, the jury's going to have to decide, do those aggravating factors outweigh the mitigating factors, and is death appropriate in this case?
As an attorney, Eric, what did you make of the district attorney and how he outlined so many details, from what Tyler Robinson's mother and father told them to these detailed messages between Robinson and his roommate, his partner?
I think, Kira, in part, it was an important exercise in transparency. We've seen kind of a social push towards transparency with the Epstein files. Director Patel is being grilled in a hearing presently. And so I think that's what the public wants. They want to know more information about what happened. And this county attorney really delved into the details here, talking about not only those messages, but also an alleged note showing an intent, DNA evidence, surveillance video. He really covered the whole gamut of summarizing the prosecution's evidence in the case. And so far, according to that list, it appears rather compelling.
Oh, there you have it. That is it. That is the case of Tyler Robinson. He is now within the court system. Right. There we have it. Everything will be right in the description, like usual. All the sources if you want to check it out. There we have it.